What's wrong, Keychi? I would say I'm worried, but I'm actually more impressed that you screamed so loud that I heard you over my channel.
He ruined my floof!
Not the floof, you monster!
You should get to the point where anyone else would quit. You're gonna wake up and work hard at it! Just do it! Nothing is impossible! Just do it! Yesterday you said tomorrow.
Flutter Brutter is a very strange episode. Half of the fandom seems to love it, while the other half seemingly hates it with a passion only found in an internet fandom. But does this episode deserve hate?
Well, he was trying to steal their rainbow waifu, that seems like a cause for hate right there. Not to mention he's a lazy bum that a fair share of fans have had to deal with at one point or another. He's like the king of cringe.
Well, this episode is brought to us by Dave Rapp, the guy who also wrote Newbie Dash. Cringe seems to be his thing, but at least it isn't that hard to sit through this time around. It also helps that it is a new character that is uncomfortable to watch and not a character we actually care about, like Rainbow Dash.
Yeah, instead this time Rainbow Dash is the uncomfortable one. Though, have you noticed that she seems to be used to it? I guess he was like that when they were little too.
Have you seen the living room of Mr. and Mrs. Shy? So many rainbows, I tell you, they encourage that behavior. They want a rainbow for a doctor.
Thank you, dear, for not giving up on Zephyr. After all these years of pining for him, it must be so satisfying to see him on the right track.
What's the ship name? Rainbow Breeze?
I just hope they don't actually become an item, though I have to admit, Rainbow Dash reactions were pure gold.
Moving on to Fluttershy, I really liked how she was channeling all of her lessons in confidence and assertiveness into dealing with her brother. She drew from her experience from mainly It Ain't Easy Being Breezy, and probably from putting your hoof down too, in order to properly deal with her lazy bum of a brother without being rude or overly harsh.
She also seems to become overall more snarky. She delivers some excellent deadpan comments. Though it's really amazing how annoyed she apparently is by her brother. Her reaction that he would be coming home was akin to, "Not this again." And if you get Fluttershy annoyed from the get-go, you really messed up. But perhaps the best thing about her is that she was consistent in her behavior. Zephyr can be glad that she didn't use the stare on him.
I wonder if she always had that sort of a reaction around him. It's possible that Fluttershy is at least a tad bit more bold when she's dealing with her family rather than her friends or other people in Ponyville. I know I'm like that. I'm a lot more comfortable and likely to be harsh and snarky with my family rather than people outside of the house. It's an introverted thing, I suppose. I like to think of Fluttershy arguing with her brother over something small like how to style her mane.
True enough, I usually need some time to get comfortable around someone before I can talk with them casually. Especially when I want to critique them or give advice. I really hate to come off as rude and often stay silent instead, even though I would like to say something.
Fluttershy is probably the same, only 10 times worse than you or me.
Also true, but she probably has been worse in the past. Actually, this could have been a trap for a new writer. It would have been really easy to write Fluttershy with her overly shy Season 1 characterization. As sad as it is, this happens often enough in the past that I have to praise it when this isn't the case.
I wonder what made Zephyr so quick to give up on things in the first place. I mean, he has his cutie mark, so he should have at least touched upon what his special talent was. I doubt that his talent is going from hobby to hobby, considering the problem of the episode is trying to fix that.
That actually could have been a nice setup for a CMC episode. After all, since at Belusa's Most Wanted we know the cutie marks aren't as specific as we assumed. But Zephyr managed to pull the main stylist thing off, and he seemingly really wanted to do that as well. But he was too afraid to fail at it that he didn't even try, which is by all means quite relatable. I think everyone came in a similar situation at least once in their life. Sometimes you give up even though you like it, only because you don't feel good enough to do it.
You know, what they could have done at the end of this episode was that instead of Zephyr finishing the main style and being happy, he could have finished it and done a great job and then said, okay, I want to try something else now. It doesn't necessarily mean he would continue to be a bum. He would just have a series of successful jobs that he completes before moving on to the next one. It would make sense for his go with the flow, ride the wind cutie mark. His talent could literally be try everything.
Whoa. We can't invoke Shakira in this review. I can't afford the royalties unless you want to sing it yourself.
I'll pass.
Speaking of songs, there's one in this episode as well, and While I don't think that it is that bad, it feels a little bit forced to me, like they tacked it on last minute because they wanted to include a song.
Honestly, before you mentioned it, I forgot that there even was a song. It was incredibly forced and forgettable. I think it was there to either pad out the runtime or the guy who voiced Zephyr wanted to have a song stuck in there somewhere. It's probably the first option if I'm gonna be honest. By the way, they missed a really good opportunity to do a Castaway reference when Zephyr was trying to live in the woods. I was hoping he would start calling the wig stand Wilson during the height of his insanity.
I'm still really impressed that Fluttershy actually kicked him out.
I'm not. She had a harder time kicking out the Breezies.
Anyway, Zephyr is probably the problem most people have with this episode. First of all, his problem is somewhat relatable. It is quite possible that some people don't like this episode because it hits too hard home for them. On the other hand, of course, he is really cringy, or more specifically, really obnoxious. His problem comes from the fact that he thinks of himself as a failure and he tries to compensate this by playing it cool, like Rainbow Dash in UB Dash. Not to mention that he is too lazy. It only comes off as unbelievably stupid. For example, organizing all those animals to do his work was probably more work than doing the job himself.
To be fair, Fluttershy does it all the time, it's just that she can actually communicate and he can't. She treats the animals as her friends and they help her out like she's a Disney princess.
Please, don't remind me of the fact that my last snack might have been sentient. We should really wrap things up.
Well, as far as episodes go, I liked it. I liked that Zephyr was an annoying little twit. I liked that Fluttershy was put in an environment where she could be quote-unquote bold. I liked that someone was finally able to troll Rainbow Dash without her being able to beat them up for it. The episode had its flaws, and I'm sure a lot of people hate it because they see a little bit of themselves in Zephyr. But if an MLP episode can make you reflect on your own actions, then I think it counts as a good episode.
I needed to watch this episode twice to appreciate it. Zephyr really was insufferable for me the first time around, but after I got over that I really enjoyed it, mostly because Fluttershy was really well written. It rolled with her character development instead of flanderizing her. After her last episode, the Scare Master was a mixed bag in this department. It was really cool to see it so well handled here. And the lesson itself isn't half bad either. Sometimes you have to overcome your own doubts and have to force yourself not to give up to achieve your dreams. I think it wasn't the best way to present it, but it is still a rather important and adult lesson. Probably not my favorite season 6 episode, but it's by no means bad. But what about you? Did you like this episode? Anything that bothered you? Do you want me and Keychi to sing Try Everything and a medley of show tunes? No? Too bad! I messed up tonight. I lost another fight, I still mess up, but I just start again.
Sly as a fox, you got me under your spell. But you know I'll never tell that I know you know so well.